USSR match this year has had a great season.
Nice, clean first vault. Brandy is a brilliant gymnast, but so often she has one weak piece. Always thankful to get 4 consistent performances under her belt.
She has to wait for that score to come up. There it is, 9.8.
And Brandy Johnson's second vault. First vault 9.8, and the second vault not so good. Same shape from the top of the horse, same tariff, but it'll be a lower score because of the crouch landings.
Yes, very low off the top of the horse. Here it comes again in the slow-mo. Really does have to tuck right down to hold that landing, and that's a major fault. So it looks as if 9.8 will be her score.
Okay, everyone pause for 3, 2, 1.
One of the world's biggest... The Heysel Sports Complex in Brussels. And over the next 3 days, we shall be bringing you extensive live coverage of the 8th World Cup, the biggest event in this year's gymnastics calendar. 19 women and 20 men have qualified through 8 Grand Prix events, so only the very best are competing. Today, it's the Women's All-Round Championship. And there's no question who's favourite. Svetlana Boginskaya is already the European and World Champion, and she's determined to make it a hat-trick of titles. But she'll need to be at her best, because one slip could let in Henrietta Anodi, the sensational 16-year-old from Hungary who burst onto the scene last year, taking the European A-Bars title. Or perhaps 17-year-old Yang Bo from China, another wonderfully talented gymnast who won 2 of the Grand Prix leading up to this event. And you can never discount the Romanian girls. Cristina Bontash leads their challenge, and she or Mirela Pasca could upset the Russians. Having said that, the Women's World Cup has never been won by a non-Russian. Soviet gymnasts have taken all the 7 previous cups. We're now live in the Heysel Stadium. Just finishing there, the Bulgarian gymnast Maya Hristova, starting her competition on the asymmetric bars. Leading the competition at the moment, would you believe it? I'm sure you will. Svetlana Boginskaya, she started on vault 9.937, her score, and the second Russian girl, Tatiana Lysenko, 9.887.
And the best gymnast to emerge from Spain, Eva Rueda, preparing for her first vault.
2 vaults for each gymnast in the girls' competition. Quite slowly performed, but she managed to get the height to get through that full twisting Yurchenko.
Very powerful 18-year-old Eva. Brilliant vaulter, but really lacking in dynamics. The judges want to see the hands strike the apparatus, and they want to shoot off rather than a resting, boring tempo of the vault, which she had.
Okay, well, you're not on the level at the moment, okay?
Eva Rueda from Madrid, coached by Jesus Carvalho. 37th in the World Championships in 1987, 18th in the Olympics in 1988, and continuing to improve, marvellous 7th in the 89 European. So she's got tremendous experience and still improving.
Yes, and in fact in the 90 European she pulled up to 4th place and made every finalist, which was some record for the Spanish female gymnasts. And a better second vault. Can't really get a true impression of the length. 9.875 for her first, so she's got a lot to beat.
And on to the asymmetric bars, Stephanie Moreau from Belgium.
The level is quite low here. space in there tight. Okay, thank you.
Good catch of Stephanie, really going well. This is a difficult competition for the Belgians, knowing in many respects they're outclassed by the high standard of competition. But Stephanie really rising to the occasion, double twisting back away their dismount.
And a tremendous crowd here at the Expo Centre, the Heysel Stadium complex, and they're really getting behind the Belgian gymnasts, very enthusiastic, enjoying themselves.
And Eva Rueda's second score on vault, 9.912.
And that moves her up into second position behind Boginskia. She's ahead of Tatiana Lysenko.
And that was Yang Bo from China, 17-year-old Chinese champion. Yurchenko straight with a full twist. Powerful, potent gymnast, Yang Bo, hoping for great things from her today.
So important to land that first vault right. Sets you up for the competition. Just loses the leg tension a little bit as she came down into her landing.
Yang Bo has some startling work on all four disciplines. The vault, of course, being the first of the four.
Cheers go up for Stephanie Moreau's score, 9.512 for that asymmetric bars exercise from her.
And Yang Bo's first vault score, 9.887, and I'm sure that she could do better than that and get into the 9.9s. Really looking for a good confrontation between the Soviet Union and China in this championship.
Concentration written all over her face. The Yurchenko start, the arrow spring, and it wasn't really any better, I don't think.
Well, in fact, I don't think it was as good. She really didn't have enough lift from the top of the horse.
Karine Mermet from France onto the asymmetric bars, her first piece. Giant circles, the Jaeger somersault, and she was very slow and hesitant going into that exercise and misses the Jaeger, 0.5 away for the fall.
Karine, having gained quite a lot of weight and finding it difficult with her power to weight ratio to cope with the change in weight and swing.
A disastrous start for Karine Mermet, just one French representative. This, Henrietta Onodi, another of the favourites from Hungary, her first vault. Lovely handspring 1.5 with half twist.
And of late, the only thing that's let Henrietta down has been her nerves under pressure. A brilliant young gymnast, the best ever from Hungary. And that was a super vault. What a start.
"16 years old, burst onto the scene, taking the asymmetric bars European title in her first year when she was a 15-year-old, and then the pressure started to catch up with her last year, and she really got herself into a little bit of a state when she didn't do as well as she expected at the Europeans this year. 9.9 for that first vault.
And Henrietta Onodi, her second vault, 9.9 start. Oh, and she really is on good form. Concentrating, a brilliant gymnast, growing into a very attractive young lady.
She was so tiny, the extra height she's added has helped her now on the vault, I'm sure.
Canada's Leah Homer to the asymmetric bars. Canadian gymnast qualifying 1 in this World Cup final. Forward giant. Straight into Jaeger. She was in difficulty right from the Jaeger catch. Landed on the apparatus and she'll lose 3/10 for that. Lucky to stay on there.
Oh, she did so well to hold that. But it was a big pause, so she'll still be penalised.
But this is where the conditioning in gymnastics is so important, really using the shoulders. Relaxing the knees on the double back tight. She had all kinds of problems. And there it is, using those shoulders to anchor herself onto the apparatus.
Mari Kosuge from Japan, her first vault. Another new young Japanese gymnast. We haven't seen her before. Just really her first season in big international competition. Full twisting Yurchenko. This her first major international championship. 1989 Japanese champion, third in the American Cup this year and third in the Moscow News Tournament. So she's been blooded and she's been up there with the best of them.
.712 for Kosuga's first vault, now her second vault. An opportunity to improve that. But I think she's failed. Landed, under-rotated and stepped forward and dropped the chest rather badly.
No great speed and doesn't get the lift off the horse that she was looking for. Well, Henrietta Renaudy's gone up into second place, 9.937 she scored. And we'll leave the World Cup just for a few moments. We'll take a break, but you won't miss any of the action. The gymnasts too are taking a break. We'll be back in a minute. Have at the end of the first round, Svetlana Boginskaya, the favourite, level with Henrietta Renaudy. 9.937. They both scored for their vault, so it's a direct comparison. They're in the same group, and they're setting the pace at the moment. Eva Rueda from Spain in third place. Equal fourth, Yangbo and Tatiana Lysenko from the Soviet Union. Kristina Bontash from Romania in sixth. And the gymnasts at the moment warming up for their next piece of apparatus. The first group will be on asymmetric bars. That's the group that includes Boginskaya and Henrietta Renaudy, and the other group on the beam. That comes into the competition. We've got 19 gymnasts. They're divided into two groups, so only two pieces of apparatus on the go at any one time, and they move round in the Olympic order.
And a great psychological moment for Henrietta Renaudy, joining Boginskaya in the lead on first piece, because of late Henrietta Renaudy has really struggled on vault because of a low body weight, and Boginskaya often starts off with a 10. And now they're absolutely even, so psychologically a great build-up for Renaudy, and perhaps a little bit dejecting to Boginskaya, but we know that she's got the eye of a tiger.
Yes, there were all sorts of rumours flying around about the future of Boginskaya. There she is in the black leotard in the background. This is Kristina Bontash still just warming up. But Boginskaya was said to be retiring after the Goodwill Games, where she came second in Seattle during the summer. But she immediately denied those rumours, put an end to them by saying, not only am I still around, but I'm looking forward, first of all, to the World Cup. I'm determined to win that, to go with my European and world titles. And then, for the people who thought that she might actually retire after that, she said, no, I've not got an Olympic title, and I really do fancy the full set.
And why not? And looking in tremendous form. Here we have Spain's Eva Rueda to beam. Here we have Eva Rueda from Spain to the asymmetric bars.
Oh, this is still warm-up. So warming up half the group at a time here in this. Rueda, the last of the first half of that group. So the next performance we shall see will be for real. And it's Boginskaya in this round who's first up. Just chalking up the A-bars. We've got a change, actually, in the apparatus here, Monica, haven't we?
Yes, the asymmetric bar rails, as they're called, the bits that look wood, but they're actually made of fiberglass, used to be oval, but they're now round. They have actually been practicing on round bars throughout the clubs, on and off for a year, but this is the first major championship where they are compulsorily round. Advantage, of course, to the smaller gymnasts with the smaller hands, but it means that they're softer. The reaction out of the bar is quicker, so it affects their swing. The release and catch moves particularly have to be accurate.
And the reason for that change, I suppose, because they're getting so many more release and catch moves coming in.
Yes, and I think that with the forward giants and most of the movements coming from men's high bar, they're following men's high bar.
Boginskaya at last ready. Equal leader at the moment. There's her catch of. Coach now running round to the other side for the next release and catch, which was the Ginga somersault.
Gives the impression of being laboured, toe on toe off, very elegant, but this, of course, is her long line.
But that's a bad mistake. Really underdid the dismount, as she's normally such a stickler on making her landings count.
She actually went wrong on her undershoot over the bottom bar. She had to bend her legs, came in bent-armed, used strength rather than timing.
This is Sandy Woolsey just holding herself together on the beam. And suddenly the stadium has gone quiet, waiting for Boginskaya's score to come up. Oh, and Sandy Woolsey off. She couldn't hold it that time. 0.5 away, she's having a bad time. Won the asymmetric bars competition in the American Cup this year, was 4th overall and 4th in the Moscow News Tournament, 16th in the Goodwill Games.
And Boginskaya's scores just come up on the asymmetric bar, only 9.825, and for her, that really is a disaster. Woolsey having to pick herself up from the dead of a terrible piece of apparatus on which to have an attack of nerves. And the nerves really have gone to her legs, and she's lacking in power and confidence in her jumps. No matter how much physical preparation has gone into the exercise, the attitude on the day, she did very well.
There, the bad mistake, but she had a couple more as well. Onto the asymmetric bars. At the other end of the arena has gone the other American, Brandy Johnson.
And Brandy just catching a wonderful catch of our producer scamming around the arena. But back to Brandy, still going well. Her release and catches have been good, and just look at that high double back away.
Come from opposite sides of the country, the two Americans. Brandy Johnson from Tallahassee in Florida, and Sandy Woolsey from Phoenix in Arizona. Onto beam, Stephanie Lamboret, but she's got to wait first of all for the score to come up for Sandy Woolsey. And it's just coming up now. There it is, 8.725, reflecting that fall. And I wonder what Svetlana Boginskaya is thinking at the moment. 9.825. The very symmetric bars routine will not be something that she'll be pleased with at all, and it will have opened the door for everybody else.
And Stephanie Lambouré, having presented herself to the judges for beam, Arab Spring flick-flack mount. Once the gymnasts have got their mount and their first leap series over, their nerves seem to settle down. No more than a 2-second concentration pause permitted. Flick straight.
And you immediately notice the whole tempo of this routine much slower than the girls at the top. Again, a back somersault, and really no height and no extension at all on that split leap.
Judges looking for balances, elevation, lift from the apparatus, and particularly amplitude. That is the greatest amount of range of movement possible. However, Stephanie, under pressure and in front of a home crowd, sticking to beam, and that really is very creditable.
Yes, she'll be delighted to have got through that.
Alicia Fernandez from Spain, 17-year-old, very experienced, had a disaster in the last major championship, the Europeans, where she dropped down to 32nd place. Kachev, named after the innovator, and came from men's high bar, and there, double width dismount, very difficult work.
Tiny girl, just 1 meter 35. And that helps on this piece of apparatus. Good form throughout that double back somersault at the end. This is Ankie Schoenfelder. Salutes the judges. She's ready to go. Had a terrible start. 8.975.
Ankie attends a specialist gymnastic school. She trains twice a day, a total of 6 hours, 5 days a week. But she does have time for school, and she has high hopes of pursuing a career in medicine. Recovering well from that flick straight. Demonstrating a great deal of character, because starting on her first piece of apparatus, everything went so sadly wrong, and now she really is concentrating, not just performing the elements, but putting every effort into the perfection of each individual part of the exercise.
And gets through the dismount too.
ranked number 2 in Bulgaria, but really a promising future. She's small, compact, the right build, and from her performance so far appears to be the right temperament. Another wonderful combination. Arab Spring, flick-flack, straight-back walkout. The full pirouette, often the most badly performed of elements, but one of the compulsory elements. "15 years old. Another gymnast attending a specialist school and training several hours a day and coping with schoolwork. Dismount, and that was a wonderful routine. Newcomer, Maya Hristova. Spectacular stuff there from the Bulgarian. Just take another look at this mount. The Yurchenko into a flick, followed by 2 straight backs.
Great stuff from the Bulgarian girl. Eva Rueda from Spain onto the asymmetric bars. Jaeger somersault.
And Rueda really is renowned for being a workaholic. Not the most talented physically or in range of movement, but most definitely one of the hardest workers I've ever seen in the sport. Oh, and she really whipped and over-rotated that dismount. Lucky she didn't go on her back.
Looks across at her coach. Into the handstand, and here she comes.
Lovely, everyone.